There may finally be a way Darwin petrol stations can be forced to reduce their price of fuel. The Country Liberals candidate for Casuarina, Harry Kyprios, has found legislation that appears to provide government with the power to limit costs and in turn save Darwin drivers plenty at the pump.
It sounds too good to be true. A piece of legislation already in place that could force our petrol prices down.
I think it's every business's right to make a profit, but I feel like people are really being gouged at the bowser.
Called the Price Exploitation Prevention Act, the legislation comes under the banner of Consumer Affairs, who today wouldn't speak on camera. The Act has two purposes. The first, preventing price gouging in case of a natural or man-made disaster. But the second part is the most interesting. It says to prevent price exploitation that may occur because of the failure of other laws to protect consumers from monopolies or to effectively ensure that consumers benefit from the operation of a competitive market. Dr. Kyprios is using the legislation to lobby the government to force petrol companies to stop ripping off Territorians.
I've had discussions with them, preliminary discussions, but I'd like to have further discussions as a result of this, to explore this, because I feel like it's actually going to give us a possible solution to our problem that we have in the Territory.
It's no secret Darwin motorists feel we've been exploited at the bowser for years, especially when you see the cost of petrol just 300 kilometres away. Today in Darwin, the average price for unleaded was 173.2 cents a litre, while in Katherine it was 165.7. Compare those to the average in Sydney of 143.4, and that's a 30 cent per litre discrepancy. The major point of difference is the margin between wholesale and the retail price set by petrol companies. The national average is around an 8 cent markup, but last week in Darwin it reached an unprecedented level of 35 cents, which lends more weight to the theory we're being ripped off.
The discovery by Dr. Kyprios begs the question of why hasn't the government already used this legislation? The Act was created back in 1949 and been amended more recently, but the government says they're now looking into it more closely.
It's something that we are working on, looking at this particular legislation. And the number one thing, however, that causes high fuel prices here in the Territory is the lack of competition. And until we have that competition in the marketplace, it is really going to be very difficult.
While there may be political motivations behind fixing this problem, it's still something that needs action. So now it's over to the government to see if they'll enforce their own law. Kathleen Bruin, 9 News.